Okay. Record away. Are we on?
Yep.
Okay. What is today's date? July 20th. Monday, July 20th, 11:07 a.m. As a preliminary matter, this is Rob Benchley. Permit me to affirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. I'm not sure exactly who's here. I'll call, Alice?
I'm here.
Thank you. Mary Lathrop Will?
I'm present.
Nice. Angus McLeod?
I'm here.
Clement Durkis? I don't see Clement. And, okay. Sorry, here I come. Good morning. This open meeting of the Sconset Advisory Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with the Governor Baker's executive order on March 12, 2020. Due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings as such. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which is posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Sconset Advisory Board is convening by video conferencing by way of Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that others may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of the audience are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair, that being myself, notes otherwise. Now that we're turning to the first item on the agenda, before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to assure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. And please remember clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any responses, please wait until the chair yields to the floor to you and state your name before speaking. Members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please go through the chair. Taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak may state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call. And with that, call to order. Members present has been acknowledged. And chair makes a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Rob, I'll second that. Mary.
Second, fine.
Okay, I have a second and I'll take a call. Caroline Ellis, do you vote yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Mary Latham,
I vote yes.
Angus McLeod,
Yes.
and I didn't, is Clement here?
No,
Okay, and the chair votes yes. The chair notes unanimous approval of the agenda, adoption of the agenda. And let's see. Oh, yes, approval of the minutes from June 29th, 2020. Chair makes a motion to adopt the minutes from June 29th.
This is Mary. I will second that.
Thank you. The chair notes Mary Will for second. Carolyn Ellis.
yes, yes.
Okay. Mary Lathrop Will.
Yes.
Angus McLeod.
Yes.
And Rob Benchley. Chair notes unanimous approval of the minutes. And so the next item on the agenda, which I can't see at the moment. Good. Holly, can you tell us what the first item? Hang on.
Yeah, sorry, it's 73 Baxter Road, the new garage.
New garage, okay.
And I believe,
And Rob, did you know that there's someone attending? Isn't that correct, Holly?
yes, I believe both
Rob,
Alex and Matt from Emeritus are here. I
Okay.
assume in case you have any questions.
Exactly. Yeah, Holly, we're here if you had any questions, but just plan to just to view. I don't really have a, well, yeah, we're just here. We don't want to slow you down or anything like that. Just wanted to be there if you, in case you had any questions.
Okay, thank you.
So you'll remember that this tracks along with the proposed demo move.
I could actually give you a quick run through if that's helpful.
I think that would be helpful, Matt. Thank you.
Sure. Let's turn the video on. So there's an existing structure there now, a garage. It's believed to be a Sears and Roebuck kit from, I think, the 40s. We did actually look at getting it moved and trying to find a home for it. I may have mentioned this in our previous meetings, but we've got a price of $100,000 to move it, which just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We're still looking into that, but just given that information and trying to find a place there it could go, you know, it wasn't overly encouraging from my end anyways. So the intent here is to utilize essentially the same footprint that the existing structure is, and to match a lot of the architectural details on the original house, because they're you know, it's a square cut rake. They're exposed. They're actually not, the rafter tails are actually exposed from the underside. They're not exposed on the frieze side. And so we matched all the details, stepped them down a little bit because the rakes on the main house, I think, are over 10 inches. And when we looked at that on this application, it was a little beefier. I think they're in that range. But match the same exterior trim details, post details, window style, window trim detail, and just tried to essentially kind of utilize that same roof pitch that's on the existing garage now, slide it in so that it is conforming. It's coming away from the abutting property, which I think is a good thing. So we will be conforming with the setbacks, which is great. And one other note, and I haven't taken a deep enough dive into this yet, but the grade actually slopes up slightly from Baxter Road to the property. And there was, I think that we might be able to actually sink the building down into the grade, because it kind of does that now. And it might take about 18 inches off the height of the building. I didn't want to propose that until I had gotten all the proper information from the survey, which we do have now with the topography, and get the okay from the client. But it's something that we're looking to pursue. So with that, I'll shut my mouth and look forward to any comments or questions that the board may have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Matt. Anybody have some initial thoughts?
This is Caroline. I just wonder what effect sinking it 18 inches would have on the porch to the west.
So we would actually have to, can I answer that, Mr. Chair?
Oh, absolutely. Speak.
So
Speak, please. Yeah.
I think what'll happen is those posts, we would have some kind of a small retaining wall, probably like a little bit of an 18-inch retaining wall, either directly under the posts or it could be offset. But my initial thought was that the post would just die on to whatever, quote unquote retaining wall we have. And so you'd have to probably step up and out of the patio, but I feel like we could do that. We could do that some, creative way so it doesn't look odd. And again, the only part you'd see of the facade is the west. So you probably wouldn't see that on the backside. So.
Thanks, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Chair, this is Angus. Matt, is this what was proposed the last time we met?
So we had only submitted initially the demo move, and then we waited, and there was a discussion at the HDC, and they asked to actually track it with the proposed structure, which we were happy to do. We did submit initially a draft, and it was actually like a preemptive. They submitted it prematurely, basically. So initially, we did submit a structure similar to this, but it didn't look like this. It had 2/2s, and it was basically like a half-baked cake, basically. And I think that it was a miscommunication internally on our side, where one of the PMs was on vacation, so the person covering for him submitted it, got the application in, but it wasn't quite what we were. It wasn't fully developed. So we held it, waited, and then resubmitted the final design, which is this. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thanks, Matt. Holly, do you have our comments from the last meeting?
I do, yes. So of course, the comments were not on the new garage. It was on the proposed demo move. Which obviously is the structure here shown in the HDC survey. You all had asked if there was room to move the existing structure on site. Like the idea for it to stay, as we're losing many of these types of structures. Is there any way to move it elsewhere on the site? There's a question about ground cover, possibly be an issue, which obviously Matt has addressed. Add windows for it, that was to make it useful, lift it up, add a 4-foot foundation, the new foundation. And then there was a comment about tracking together with the future submittal. So it was more on the structure itself, obviously, existing.
Thank you. I had remembered that we had talked about making use of the structure, hopefully on site, and hopefully, some way of retrofitting or adding on or doing something with the existing historic structure to make use of it. And last I knew, I thought that was going to be the next step. So that's why I'm a little surprised to see sort of the same structure again.
Well, I mean, we did look at the notion, I mean, in order to reuse this structure, we would have to lift it onto a new foundation. And, it would be a taller structure because it is a full second floor plate height. Just kind of running through the scenarios of trying to work with the existing structure, just in a lot of ways don't make a ton of sense compared to the notion of it maybe finding a new home, but maybe not. And where it is 1940s, it is a Sears and Roebuck kit. I understand there's a value to keeping structures like that. The site is pretty tight. There's a lot of restrictions to it, and I think that this structure retains a lot of the architectural characteristics of the main house and the existing garage itself. We're just adding some, obviously changing it, but I think that it's relevant to the existing structure and its architectural detail. Where it is such a secondary, kind of tertiary utilitarian type structure. I mean, if you recall, there was a whole other cottage in front of this main dwelling. I don't know if you recall that. There's a whole other structure dwelling that was located in front of this existing main house, and that's since been removed.
Matt, it's Rob.
Yep.
Am I correct that vanished when they moved the house back? Didn't the house back a number of years ago?
Yeah, I think that's the case, and that was before our involvement. The new owners literally just purchased this in February, I think actually closer to April. So they weren't involved in that previous iteration, but yes, you're correct. I think
Gotcha.
Just because I was doing some historic research and imagery and was surprised to find that there's a whole other structure there that had been removed. But
Yeah.
Are there
Yeah.
any photos of the existing garage? There was that side view. It looked like the south view with a side door.
I think we submitted initially as part of the demo.
Hold on, I can get that in 2 seconds. I think that was from the last meeting, which was in June 29th. Bear with me.
Hey, I know that house.
Sorry.
William Flagg.
Yes, Flagstaff.
My aunt and uncle bought that house from the Wilmerdings. That was
Oh,
their last-
really?
Yeah.
How's everybody liking the Zoom meetings? Find them just as effective, or
Many of them.
yeah?
I don't know. I'm kind of getting used to them when I show up on time.
They're fine. The
Saves
HDC
making your way through traffic to get to a meeting.
Yeah, I think it's been great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the more comfortable people get with it, and that's, I just find I'm always kind of curious about after, hopefully when COVID goes away, I wonder if there'll be lasting effects where people will be like, well, I kind of liked doing it that way. You know,
That's a possibility.
strong possibility. It's a little work from home thing.
Yeah, that's the only fun part.
Yeah,
Working
I don't
from
like
home.
working from home.
Not
I
having
don't-
everything available.
I don't do well working from home. Too many distractions.
Got to put a padlock on the refrigerator.
Yeah, start playing with my dog. It's bad.
Oh yeah.
But seems like most
So
people.
this went
Are you waiting for me or no? You're not waiting for me, are you?
No,
No.
I am trying to find your photos that you
Oh, okay.
submitted, which, can you, because I don't have them in this folder that I'm looking
I
at
might
right
be
now,
able to
but
pull something
what
up.
HDC meeting did it go to? Do you remember?
Geez, I'd have to kind of go back. Alex might be able to
Think-
find out. Hold on, let me see if I can do this. I have an idea.
I'm looking. Because I don't believe you all, hold on. You know what? I think why I'm having a problem here, and I apologize, everybody. I think
Right.
I was looking on the website. This time I'm actually got them on my jump drive. So let me do this.
Actually,
That was-
if this is tracking with the demo or move, there would be as-built of the, photos with that, right?
Yeah. Yep. Trying to find street.
With
view.
that, yeah, it's with the demo file. They're two separate applications, so we don't keep them all together. Those guys. Right. Sconset. Things are more at your fingertips when you're in the office, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tracking everything. He did? Oh,
So
yeah.
this-
Teams? Actually, I think Alex just shot him to me.
Really? Okay, that would be
Yeah, I just have to
fantastic.
get my Teams up and running.
Thank you.
Which is here. Come on, Teams. There we go. Get that. It's all right. Oh, this thing's annoying. There we go. All right, so see attached.
Oh. I have an idea.
And then I am going to share my screen. Share. Can you all see that?
It's coming. There. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Matt. I can see that now.
Yep. And I can scroll down. Yeah, it's really just one sheet of drawings.
Matt, you had mentioned, which that's what I was thinking too, is to provide elements from the existing, bungalow, Craftsman bungalow that's there.
Yep.
I think that's, in my opinion, advisory board. I think that's from the design of the new structure. That's a good point to do. Take up those elements.
Yeah, I mean, Angus, you had mentioned that for another. Well, we tried to obviously just so that they kind of speak to one another. Think it's a good idea, but yeah, no, it's definitely great. Sorry, there's just that one photo, and it won't totally cooperate with me. But anyways, you saw that
Right.
one last photo with the existing house in front of it, which I thought was interesting. So.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and ironically, the existing structure doesn't completely match the details of the main house. To some degree it does, but like this eave line, it's not exactly matching, but anyways. I'm gonna stop talking because I tend to talk a lot. So.
Can you leave
All
that
right,
up?
I'm gonna go back to the plans. Yep.
And you can see obviously the garage door that's there now is not original.
Not historic.
No,
But
no.
what I'm seeing in the and thank you all for the patience and innovation to pull up those old shots, is I'm just looking for similarities of, you know, is this reminding you at all of the structure that's there? And on the house and on that existing garage, I see pretty deep overhangs and eaves that I'm not really seeing reflected in the proposed design. And also we're kind of going from, well, we are going from garage to more of something that's looking like a guest house and less like a garage. And so there's just the scale of it that's increasing. The height of it is a dramatic difference. So all those things are registering.
Yes, I agree, Angus. This is Rob. I don't see much of a memory at all about the old garage, and it's understandable. I'm seeing a secondary dwelling, second floor balcony, French door, door overlooking the Atlantic. So it's two different things now. What's there and what's proposed, and which is noted, is all I'm saying. It's quite clear.
Mr. Chair, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
So, I mean, it's a valid point that this rake detail is intended to emulate what's found on the main house. And we could take the approach of emulating more exactly what's on the existing garage. And the result would be that you would be more authentic in terms of the memory of the garage, but you wouldn't have kind of a, an exact collaboration or, between the main house and the structure, which I personally, either way, I think could work. But if you have the preference for us to kind of study the existing garage's details and emulate those more exactly, we could certainly take that approach. So if I could get some suggestions on that front, if that's important to everybody or not, because it's something we could totally do. So it's an interesting point.
Just wish it didn't have a second story. That's my biggest.
Yeah, and I think by trying to drop it, I think the scale of it, I mean, we really tried to, I think it's 24, it's pretty shallow. And I think by sinking it, I think the scale, I think it definitely will be in scale in relationship to the neighborhood, certainly, and also in relationship to the existing structure. And it is not a dwelling, it is purely, it's not a dwelling. So that's, and
Yeah.
it's, you've got such a gorgeous view.
Floor plan.
Yeah, office. We got a really tiny
Yep,
office.
that was important.
Yeah, it's going to be used as an office. We're not planning to do a second dwelling application to the planning board. And we kind of talked through all those scenarios. And I actually generally encourage people to try to get the second dwelling approval in case you do want to have somebody sleep there, otherwise you can't. And in this instance, it was pretty clear about what the desire is for the existing structure. And again, there's no planned additions to the main house, no aggressive, the general envelope of the house. The envelope of the house, I anticipate staying the way it will. There's just some minor kind of flow items that they're working on in the interior. So, and then when they did renovate the building a while ago, when they moved it, they did actually put some program in the basement, which has been helpful, which it wasn't finished. The work wasn't finished. So we plan to finish that. So I just want to reiterate, this is not intended to be a guest house.
Yes, Matt, and I do recall those thoughts that you shared with us the last time. So yes, thank you for reminding us.
Holly or Matt, if it's possible to see the old photos of the house, that would be great. Again, before the move.
Sure, I could pull those up, Paul, if you want.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go.
This is the HDC survey from '89, so it does not include the little structure that was out front. I think this is looking from the cliff.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So that actually may be there. You just don't see it. You said you emailed it, Courtney?
There's a lot of photographs, I will say, of I think the interior that NHA has of the structure from like the 90s. But it's not helpful in this conversation.
So I'm not sure how deep these overhangs are, but it looks like, over 12 inches, maybe 18 inches. It's pretty, pronounced. And that's part of what gives this particular house some character.
Mhm.
It's also hard to tell, but it kind of looks like the soffit or the fascia is plumb as opposed to at a right angle to the rafter.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a photograph that we were using as a reference that was facing the house, and it looked like it was a square cut, not a plumb cut, but I could certainly do that. We didn't go with the significant overhangs on the gable side because we thought that it was like it'd start to compete with the house, but I could certainly look at that as well. Of that, yeah. I can't share screen.
Oh, sorry.
My suggestion would
Yours.
be
Thanks.
to simplify what faces the street.
Mhm.
If there were just a garage door instead of a garage door and a door beside it.
Okay.
And I think, it would take a little finagling, but that's the high end of the stair. So you could sort of scoot in around underneath the stair and get the car in without, ruining the plan. And I think having one window in that gable end over the garage door would help. And bringing the eaves out so that it more represents what the house, what's going on with the house, the main gable, and even the dormer has that pronounced overhang. I think that all that would be cues that it belonged there, that it's not new. The new building doesn't feel like it's part of the existing structure. It feels like something from somewhere else that's plop down there.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the rafter ends.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny, it almost looks like they fly much greater in that historic photo than they do here. They're only flying, maybe like 12 inches or so. But in that photograph we were looking at, it felt like it was greater, but so it is a square cut. It's got the shadow. So we can take a more direct approach. I think those comments about the door, those are all very helpful.
I mean,
I
ideally, I
see.
would love to see the garage stay like the garage, but things devolve and develop and so forth. But those would be my recommendations. I look forward to hearing what the rest of the board says.
Matt, could you email that to me when you get a chance?
Sure. Alex, you're listening. Can you? Yeah. We can get that to you for sure.
We'll do that, Holly.
Oh, there he is. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, I think that I think that's a nice idea. Is if it's not going to be the old garage, if it's a kissing cousin to the house, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Sort of shift away from the Sears look to the look of the existing historic house.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to play, you're right, the overhang, I did cheat that back. That's what I said to do, so it's fine. But we'll take a deeper dive into those existing details and, but I think the comments you made, Angus, will be very helpful, so.
Rob,
Yes,
it's Mary.
Mary.
My feeling is it would be great if we do, first of all, I love the fact that the old garage, or that the garage structure is moving closer to the house and away from the lot line. I think that will be good. Therefore, it really needs to mirror the existing details from the house. So I think Angus's points are very well taken. I'd love to see that whole eave line replicated on the garage. And then I think the garage will fit in better. At the moment on these drawings, it does sort of stick up like a sore thumb. I mean, it's a nice looking garage. It just doesn't have much relationship to, the house that it's attached to. But then the existing Sears garage doesn't either.
Correct. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Any of our other members like to comment or not?
It's Caroline. I would just say that the 18 inches will make a huge difference in the appearance from the south, particularly.
Yeah.
On what had been proposed. And I don't care what's to the west. But I care very much about the east. I mean,
Caroline,
the reverse, the
Caroline,
west. Yeah,
right.
yeah, it's the west. And I think those suggestions are wonderful. Great.
Okay, well, I appreciate all the feedback. It's really helpful, and it's, yeah, very much appreciated.
Great. Well, Matt, thank you very much for
Okay,
attending our meeting. Any other comments from anybody?
Thanks for coming, Matt.
okay, we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda is number 2 is the Kevindale Trust, which is 7 King Street, with a proposal to move the existing building. And Botticelli and Pohl are the architect.
Yeah,
And-
and I'm here, Rob. You have any
And there you are.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Yeah, the most forlorn house on King Street.
The most what?
Forlorn house on
Yeah.
King Street.
Yes, yes.
Happy that it's being rescued.
Yes, I am too, actually, very much so. And I can just give a brief rundown on the plans and then you can ask me, I'll be here if you have any questions. But the idea is to relocate the building slightly along King Street and push it a little bit further back from the King Street side of the property. The porch, we're proposing rebuilding the front porch to make it less deep and then actually adding a porch along the side. And then basically doing a two-story L off the back with the same eave lines as the existing house and adding a single story mudroom area that sort of replicates the single story laundry room entrance that is currently there. There are some minor window changes as well, but the intent is to keep the 2/2 windows. All the windows do need to be replaced. I have to say they're in really terrible shape, but the intent is to do weight and chain windows, much like the addition and the renovation we did to Le Petit Cottage. The same builder is doing this project. So it'll be, the windows will be authentic, at least from the perspective of there'll be weight and chain windows and single glazed. I think, we're keeping the front door. You can ask me any other questions, but that's basically an overview of what the architectural changes are to the structure.
And it looks like a full foundation too.
Yes, it is a full foundation, but probably not super deep. I think we're just going to try to do it as a regular 8-foot pour. And I don't know if that matters to you guys, but the idea is to not make it one of those very deep modern basements, but lay out the basement in a way that we can maintain 8-foot ceilings or 710 ceilings without having to go too far down, because the client does not want the windows to be sunken under grade. So right now we're proposing an 8-foot pour.
Yeah, solid foundation is always good for the house.
And the intent was to do a brick exposed foundation, sort of playing off the fact that right now it sits on brick piers. So that was what we've shown in the proposal.
Go to the photographs, so you guys. Most of you guys are in Sconset.
Yep.
The Edward Coffin house, that whole corner was his agricultural lot. Circa 1893.
Must have been this past winter or this spring.
Yeah, it was before they did some of the planting work out there. I think we measured, these are probably from March.
Yeah.
It's actually, structurally and remarkably in shape.
Mhm.
It looks a lot worse on the outside than it is on the inside.
Mhm.
Here, this is Angus. Lisa, thank you for coming, and I appreciate the proposal. You're not losing contact with what's there. I think that's really good. I just have a few comments, and on the east side, it's quirky how there really isn't, symmetry there. Everything's sort of off center, but within that, I feel like something's lost by putting 2 windows in on that second floor bedroom. And I personally, appreciate more light in a bedroom, but I feel like that throws off that elevation. The height, talking about the windows being above or below, when there's a window well and you have to have a grate, it looks awkward when it's chopping, into part of the window. And 8 foot is I guess in these today's standards is a low ceiling. But however it works, whether the windows are lower or the basement's lower, I would appreciate those going, dropping 6 inches so that they're not poking up above grade. It was unusual for these houses to have basements, and certainly for them to have windows in them. So, if that's below grade, it's going to help retain the historic character, I think. But I appreciate the roof lines and the design of the addition and dormers, and I think you've done a good job here.
Great, thank you.
It's such a wonderful house.
Yeah.
Um, anybody? I think it'll be nice putting it in the middle of that lot too, and it looks like the proposal to maybe barn
Thrilling.
help is really thrilling.
It is. It is. Oh, so
You
exciting.
know,
Did you say the proposal for the future barn?
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's a great idea. 'Cause it
Yeah.
really looks back to what it
Yeah, what it was.
yeah, and it's just it's very good
That's
for Scott.
lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Good.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Right. And Holly, are those comments so noted, or will you
Those-
get?
Those are so
Uh,
noted.
Thank you very much. So we can move on to item number 3,
That would be great.
and this is Rodney Goldstein, 6 Sankaty Road, and
Yep. It's me again.
we have Lisa again, which is terrific. And
Oh,
didn't you guys do the renovation a number of years ago there?
Yes, we did. So the number of years ago, we basically added the sunroom, which is that you can see from the east elevation. It's on the north side of the building, and added the porch in the back. Yeah, I can't remember how many years ago that was, but probably 10 years ago now. And so now with their, like everybody, with their expanding family and having had multiple people here during the quarantine, this house never really had a proper master bedroom. The second floor is very unusual because it's on multiple levels. The floor on the right side, the part of the house that looks like a face with the nose and 2 eyes, is 4 or 5 steps up from the lower part. So it's an awkward plan, and their desire was to actually add a master bedroom. And we looked at I think initially years ago, we had done a scheme to actually add the master bedroom above where the sunroom is, and didn't do that, just did the sunroom as a single story, and have arrived at the best way to add on to this house is to keep everything single story, so that the original kind of funky, pretty iconic front to this house doesn't really, the massing doesn't get compromised. So the plan is to expand the sunroom a little bit closer towards Sankaty Road, and then you walk through the sunroom to get to the master wing, which is the hip that's off to the north. And then to rebuild the kitchen, which is on the opposite side of the house, also as a single story addition, and add a proper mudroom.
that is wonderful.
Oh,
The building gets quite a bit longer, obviously, but again, the idea is to keep the additions secondary to the main mass, and to let it sort of grow, hopefully what looks like organically, but still be in balance.
and it would kind of go well with the Matthew house next door.
It would. It would.
Is that the one with the,
Very much so.
the one with the dark trim?
Yes.
Yeah.
To the north with the big gardens.
That's such a great house.
Yeah.
This is too. I mean, it's so funny because it's kind of funny looking, this house, but I really like it. I mean, it's just so interesting, and its imperfections make it really, just a great structure. So.
This is
Yes, I remember all those things from 10 years ago when you did this, all the challenges.
Yeah.
But
Rob, who was the original woman? The German woman who was a friend of Fella's? I spent a lot of time in that living room. They were sipping cocktails. I was listening.
A great living room. It's very
Oh,
grand. I mean, for the house, it's because the
Mm.
ceilings are so high. We actually lowered the ceilings just a little bit when we did the first renovation. It's a very grand living room. It's very nice.
it was Swiss. I don't remember her name.
Carolyn, I don't remember.
Isn't that funny?
Better?
I wasn't sipping back then.
So the kitchen wing will have a very similar appearance to what's there. It is wider and it is a little bit taller. But if you look at the Sanborn maps, that kitchen wing was not there in 1923. It was built sometimes after the 20s. So we wanted to keep the massing of it, so to speak, but obviously make it a little bit more functional.
I was curious, Lisa, about instead of having 2/2 windows, but I kind of see why you're wanting to do that. To keep them kind of unique as the original windows are.
Well, I think we did that because in the sunroom, we made that change when we did the sunroom addition. So it seems to make sense, certainly, to do that in the master wing. I think it's a nice way of helping. And also, you'll see on this west elevation, there are some 2/2s on the second floor that existed. So to me, it's sort of a nice way of showing the sort of the historical changes that are happening to the house. You know, that the windows are slightly more contemporary, more open. That was the rationale for it.
Makes sense now as I look at it a little bit more. So unique windows with the 20/2 and 7/2. Pretty.
Yeah, they're very cool windows. They're like 4.5 feet wide. And actually in the front, a lot of those windows, I think if you go to the front, let me just say, what was it?
Is that the east?
Yeah, front.
The east. If you look on the lower part, those are big 3/3 windows that sort of harken back to the 2/2s. So there's definitely a combination of window styles even in the main mass. You see the kind of Greek revival side of the building has these enormous paned windows as opposed to the ones that have the very small panes right to the right in the face.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think I was looking at the east, the front, and looking at, well, where are the 2/2s coming from? But you mentioned it's in the back side, so you can't see it. So that makes sense.
This is Angus. The same thing caught my eye. I appreciate the massing, how it really sort of falls off on either side. But the windows caught my eye. It would be, I think, charming to have a smattering, just as when you're looking at the front elevation, that east elevation, how they're the 2/2s adjacent to the highest part, but then and they're probably picture windows and not really 2/2, but there's a little bit of that smaller lights in the upper sash just to the left of the front door. I think it would be fun to see some of that go over into the wing, if that could happen, either in the bathroom or the connector or whatever that, I'm not sure what's in the floor plan there, but I think that would be nice to sort of feel like it's all together rather than it's clearly newer on the north side. But in general, I like the massing, and I think it's sensitively done, and I think it's good.
Yeah, I wonder if we can make this connector one of these big old windows. I mean, part of it might be budget related, frankly, because these windows, I'm sure, are very pricey to have made, but make the connector maybe be glazed on both sides and with sort of an older window.
Mhm.
I can look at that. There might be incorporated into the mudroom as well.
I've got a 12 over 12 picture window that came from Buckingham Palace in my basement, if you'd like to look at it.
I'm sure
Every time I move the 12 over 12 window with me.
well, when are you ever going to get another window from Buckingham Palace?
Never.
Never. But you have to move it with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even these what, 9 over 1?
It's 8 over 1.
8 over 1, I can't see.
Yeah.
Oh, one other thing, this is Angus again, is that that part of the addition that is on the farthest south gable that's over the part of the kitchen. Did you by chance look at that getting hipped like the other, like the north side?
Hmm.
The mudroom itself,
Yeah, the southern end, not over the kitchen, but
this
the
section
gable that goes south. Yeah.
that you see on the south. No, we didn't, and we can certainly look at that. The existing kitchen was a gable, so we kept it that way, but we could look at turning that into a hip.
When you look at the existing south elevation, how there's that long,
Quiet roof, yeah.
that taking the gable away, especially since it's not like for headroom for something up there, I think would soften it. So.
Mm-hmm.
Good suggestion.
Yep, that's a good
Yeah.
suggestion.
I like that. In a real mudroom.
Yes. So they desperately need.
We appreciate ours, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's full of mud.
They're gonna love the new kitchen.
Yeah. Just a small detail, Lisa. I'm curious about the. It's not that I'm too lazy to look, but the chimney that's being removed, is that a functioning?
No, it's not
Okay.
functioning. It's not even functioning now. I assume at one point it was some sort of a stove or something, but it's not.
Yeah.
Functioning now. It doesn't actually even go into the basement at the moment.
Probably kerosene or something.
And there aren't that many, we're really not making any plan changes to the center part of the house, except for maybe opening up some doorways to get some more natural light through, but there are no significant walls being moved in the old part of the house. We all sort of like it the way it is. So you'll see some doorways are opening up to get light to pass through. But nothing's changing on the second floor. You see the chimney right there in the corner by the angled bedroom. And then you see it between the dining room and the entryway of this plan. There's actually a wall missing here too that I have to add back in. There's actually a wall between the sort of sunroom porch entry and the entry with a real door that somehow that wall got deleted from the file, but that's going back.
Huh. It's one of those really old, wide Sconset lots.
Yeah,
Boy,
yeah, it's a beauty.
150 feet. That's terrific.
Yeah, then goes all the way to Lindbergh too.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Wonderful house.
All right, good.
Well, thank you guys for all your time and your comments. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry, Lisa. Say again.
I said thank you for all your time and your comments. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. It's always helpful.
Okay. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks.
Right.
All right, moving on to section 4, other business. I don't see the other business. And so we'll move to section 5. Any other comments of any kind? Okay. So the chair makes a motion to approve the comments that we have previously made for this meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, there notes the seconds. I will call the roll. Caroline Ellis to approve the
Approve.
comments.
I approve.
Okay, thank you. Mary Will?
Approve?
Excellent. Angus?
Yes.
Thank you for your guidance, and Rob approves. The chair notes unanimous approval. And I'll move right on to item number 2, motion to adjourn. I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Thank you,
second it.
Angus. Thank you, Caroline. And the vote is following here. Caroline Ellis?
Yes.
Thank you. Mary Lathrop? Will?
Yes.
Thank you. Angus McLeod?
Yes.
And the chair. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank
Such a
you,
good-
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
This-
you.